Central bankers and economies all over the world see deflation as something really horrific. What is the Austrian take on this?
Yeah, it's quite funny actually, because you have to make a difference. There's not one deflation, and that's the biggest mistake they make. There's two kinds of deflation. One is good deflation, which at least the Austrians refer to, and is good. It's basically when prices are dropping because of technological advances. So if Philips can make a TV a lot cheaper, in the production, that's good news for all. We have to pay less for the TV. Philips still has a nice profit margin because the costs go down as well, of course. So everything happens, and basically the economy can expand. So it's good. There's more profit for all around. If you look at the second definition I can give you about deflation, and that's the bad one, is if the quantity of money in the economy goes down. If it goes down and there's the same amount or number of goods, then of course the price of these goods will go down.
What do you think we are seeing now?
Well, it's kind of a schizophrenic situation really, because we both see deflation, and that's the bad deflation, and we see inflation. If you look at the inflation part, that's mostly in financial assets. So we're talking about stocks, we're talking about bonds, even in art, and in some cases even old cars, There you see prices going up. But if you look at the real economy, it's not. And the reason for it is all to do with the central bank policy these days is very accommodative. The quantity of money has been increased a lot. And basically they do that through mostly QE, which basically means that the Fed basically prints money. With that money, they buy bonds in the market or stocks. If you had those bonds or those stocks in your possession, you now get money for it. And you want to do something with that money. The hope maybe is that you will spend it in the real economy, but you think, hey, if I spend it in a real economy, I don't make an income. It's nice, I can buy something, but I don't make an income. But if you know that the central bank will buy more bonds next month, and after that more bonds again and again and again, you will be very motivated to front run, as it's called, the central bank. So the money you will receive from the central bank for your possessions, you will again buy the same sort of possessions. You will buy bonds and stocks again. Because next month, the Federal Reserve or the ECB will knock on your door and say, hey, I want to buy them from you. And you give, of course, a higher price, so you make a profit. And again, you get more money. So what will you do next month? The same. So all that money stays in the financial world and doesn't go into the real economy, so to say. And that's a very bad thing, because normally stocks and bonds are a reflection of what's happening in the real economy. And now you see a divergence. You see the real economy basically being flat, basically deflation. In some cases you see prices dropping. And in the financial world, in the stocks, you see them going up. So companies are worth more, while the economy in which they operate is doing not so well. And that's a very schizophrenic world. And I think at one point in time that will correct. And it will correct towards reality. And the reality is the real economy, not the financial world in this case.
And how would you qualify the current situation, and how would an Austrian economics rectify that?
Well, it's a complete disaster. And one of the biggest causes of this is basically the central bank handling of the situation. And what's the situation? There's too much bad debt. So if you want to solve that, first you basically have to write off a lot of the bad debts. Yeah? Then you have to make sure that central banks are doing what they're supposed to do. And it's basically manage the quantity of money, instead of we want so much GDP growth, or we want a certain inflation amount. That's really a bad way to steer from a monetary point of view. You have to just look at the quantity of money, and basically it has to be relatively stable. And then the economy can sort out the rest. But this process, which I'm now proposing, is very painful. It basically means that a lot of companies have to go bankrupt, and that needs to be done because there's overcapacity. A lot of people who owned those debts, so banks, pension funds, insurance companies, they will lose their shirts. So it's a very unpopular measure to take. But if you ask me, how can we have a sustainable economy in the future, is basically by cleaning up the mess of the past and going basically the Austrian way.
That's clear. Thank you.